All children and young people have a right to feel safe. They need people around them, protecting them, believing in them, supporting them.
Youth work is life-saving, literally. I think for me it's probably fair to say that youth work saved my life. I am Ian Corbett. I am a participation and rights advisor at the Children and Young People Centre for Justice, and I'm the programme outreach lead for Neighbourly Lab, who are a UK-wide non-profit looking at social connection. I was a young person growing up in Paisley, so just outside Glasgow, and as a result of a number of socio-economic factors and bereavements and stuff that I experienced as a young person, I had no ability to process or regulate my own emotions. The result of that is I became involved in antisocial behaviour, became involved in violence, drank too much, took too many drugs, and ended up with a number of criminal convictions in my teenage years.
This is one of 3 podcasts from Fearless, shining a light on the vital role of youth groups and organisations in many of our communities.
Hi, I'm Callum Hutchison. I work with Medics Against Violence. Youth organisations are so vital in a young person's life. They create a space and an environment where young people can thrive.
Youth workers work with young people where they are. It could be in a purpose-built centre or out on the streets and parks where the young people are hanging out. They provide a supported environment where young people can relax, meet friends, try new things and have fun. This important relationship helps young people to make safe, positive choices. Youth workers listen.
If you're a young person and you're coming through a house that might have domestic abuse in it, it might be addiction, you might be full of fear actually in your house, and you might not feel safe, and then you go into a youth group, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours every night, you've got a safe place that you can go to and you're able to build relationships with adults. It might be for the first time, trusted adults that are not going to hurt you, and that can change how a young person views the world.
Rebecca Corbett is from Peak, a charity supporting youth work in the East End. The young people she supports are often just looking for acceptance and inclusion.
They are joining gangs, and it's young people that you would have thought, no, they would never take part in that, but actually they're finding a family in this gang because they're giving them an opportunity, they're seeing a future, they're making money. And actually opportunities for young people to make money are few and far between. You get apprenticeships for young people and they're expected to come and work and do a job for under £5 an hour.
When you exclude somebody, where do you exclude them to? You exclude them to the streets. And that's when I kind of get involved in violence and gang violence and stuff like that. But I've kind of seen a change, and a huge change, in how youth organisations operate. Recognising that what we see in the surface isn't always what's actually going on with that person, and especially young people, and rather than exclude them, have a conversation with them, ask them that question, where is there anything I can help you with, what's going on with you, creating conditions and environments where they're able to regulate themselves, they're able to express themselves.
Callum turned his life around, and now, through Medics Against Violence, runs a programme called Navigator, based in A&Es to help victim recovery.
We were working with predominantly adults, and it was 25 plus that we were seeing continuously. But the kind of people we were continuously getting interventions, getting support for Navigator was saying, I wish I had this when I was 12, 13, and I would maybe not went down the road I went down, and that's my experience. So we decided during the pandemic that it'd be a great idea to set up a brand new project, base it in children's hospitals.
Young victims of violence can become regular patients in A&E. The Youth Navigator programme connects young people with community youth support and helps to break this cycle.
Mostly with young people, we see it being very impactful, because one of the first times we've ever been asked, what do you need help with? You tell us and we'll go out there, try and get you signposted or navigated towards that support, and that wraparound support, that sustainable support, and it's really, really difficult, and it's predominantly mental health. We set up really to reduce violence, and really what we've found out, and what's been kind of evident with the longer we've been in there, is it's more kind of social issues, it's kind of the addiction stuff, it's the mental health, it's all that stuff that a nurse or a doctor will say, can you support them? Can you do an intervention?
The children and young people, you see yourself, nothing's changed. I grew up in the early 2000s in gangs. There was a period where things got better. Arguably now I'd say things have got worse. But you know, those experiences that you have, that lived experience, you know how things feel. And most people are in these sectors because they don't want people to feel the way they did. Wounded healers, do you know what I mean? Nurses, policemen, fire brigade.
Logan is 15, and while some of his peers were making unsafe choices, he took another path and benefited from attending his local youth group, Blue Veil.
Blue Veil's meant like the entire world. Like a couple of years ago, I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I felt like kind of trapped, and I felt like I was going to be stuck with no job, and I felt like that I was just going to be somebody that's just always going to hang about and do nothing with my life. But until I met like the staff and I went into Blue Veil, it changed my world. Like, you won't believe how much it changed. I went in there for boxing and it was good, but as the time went on, I started to learn more about the staff, and I even reconnected with some of my old friends.
We talk about young people being hard to reach, those young people out in the street. If young people have got a right to recover, and we know about trauma and we know about adverse childhood experiences, and we know that the ones out there hanging about in the streets are the ones most affected, and they're the ones that right applies to the most, and we neglect it. We neglect our obligation to go and help them. We call them hard to reach, but they're easy to ignore, and I think we need to do better at that.
Logan mentioned that he took up boxing in his youth group. Sport is a great way for young people to improve their physical and mental well-being. For those who are not keen on sport, there are many other activities. Earlier in this podcast, Ian spoke of his convictions as a teenager for violence and antisocial behaviour.
I'm not interested in football or sport particularly, and that was the sort of main diversions for young people at that point, so there was nothing really that my parents or people could divert me into. I wasn't interested, but I actually was put into a youth theatre group, which I absolutely detested in the first instance. But a couple of things happened while I was there. I realised that I could sort of process my emotions via a character, which was pretty important for me. I wasn't able to express myself and talk about my own feelings or my own emotions, but I could decompress and I could regulate by playing a character.
We've got one of our team members. She was one of the first young people I worked with when I came to Peak, and she is now a community artist. And she goes and meets young people where they are, and they can see themselves in her. And she's an artist, and she's from the Gallagate. Like, that's not expected that someone from the Gallagate can be an artist, but she is. So someone from Calton might look up at her and think, well, if she can do it, I can see a future there. That is not something that's unachievable. It's something that's within reach, and it's something that is important to them.
Once they've built a relationship with you, once they trust you enough to let you know what's going on with them, there's so much talent within that group and demographic of young people, but they've just not been allowed to be part of, to show that or showcase it.
Youth workers are adaptable, and they're probably the most adaptable people, because they come up against that and they don't say, okay, well, we're done. They say, well, what else can we do? How can we support these young people? How can we do something for them, whether it is meeting them where they are on the streets, whether it is going into schools after schools for a chat, working in partnerships with schools and other local bodies to actually make that difference, to give the young people the chance to see that future.
I think there's something that most youth workers have that actually is more than a skill. It's a quality and a value, and that compassion. Youth work and a lot of community work is a sector built on love. That's why people go above and beyond, because it's a lot harder to go and strike when a kid's going to starve if you don't go to your work. People do it because they can, and they do it because they care, and you're not going to give up on kids. You're not going to give up on communities. What we're doing right now by not funding these services is showing the kids that we don't care, and we're letting them down.
There's very passionate people out there, very motivated people, will proceed until apprehended. I love what they do. Their voice needs to be presented to the right people, and the right people need to listen to these people's voices, because they're doing this work every day. They're walking shoulder to shoulder with young people every day.
Youth groups help to reduce harm, keep people safer and transform lives. Here's Lindsay McDade from Fearless.
I absolutely know and see and appreciate just the immense job that youth workers and local community projects are doing for young people across Scotland.
Fearless is the youth service of independent charity Crime Stoppers. Through our website, fearless.org, young people can report information about crime 100% anonymously. This means we can't track your IP address or any contact details. Nobody will ever find out that the information came from you. It could be information about weapon possession or child harm and neglect. Young people contact us every day wanting to make life safer for their friends, family and wider community.
When someone you look up to and respect and have a solid relationship with tells you that you can speak up with information about crime 100% anonymously and nobody will ever find out, not ever, it reassures you far more than any digital campaign I can produce or me, a stranger, turning up does. So that's why youth workers knowing who we are, knowing what we do is so essential. We're simply a service that you can equip your young people with so that they can live safer lives.
We think all young people across Scotland should know our service exists in case one day they need to use it. Could you tell them about us?